The race for Columbus mayor just got more crowded. Ahead on Face the State, a well-known city leader is now officially running.
I'm announcing that I will be a candidate for mayor of the city of Columbus in 2027.
City Council President Shannon Hardin jumps into the race against longtime Mayor Andrew Ginther. Hear Hardin's priorities and how his thinking has evolved in recent years.
We'll be harvestable yield here, but the problem is getting a combine through this mess is going to be a challenge.
A twisted tangle of a key crop in Ohio. Strong winds blew down row after row of corn. What farmers are facing come harvest time. Plus, disaster relief, how the Red Cross is helping people all across the state affected by the recent powerful storms, from a tornado in Columbus to flooding in Perry County, and how you can help as the summer winds down. Face the State starts now. Thanks for joining us for Face the State. I'm Doug Petcash. The election for Columbus mayor isn't for another 15 months, but the race just got turned up a notch. Current Columbus City Council President Shannon Hardin is running to become the city's next mayor. He officially launched his campaign in a speech Thursday outside his childhood home in South Columbus. He'll be going up against Mayor Andrew Ginther, who was first elected in 2015 and is serving his third term. They are both Democrats. Hardin said he wants people like him who grew up in the city to feel like they still have a place in it. As mayor, he said his top priorities would be to increase access to education, invest in childcare, and keep schools open. He also said he wants to address homelessness, youth violence, and the need for more affordable housing.
I believe Columbus is booming. But what good are cranes in the sky if that prosperity isn't benefiting regular people? What good is growth if it means that folks who built this city are priced out and pushed out?
Hardin also talked about his personal and political evolution over the last couple years since the 2024 election. Here's a portion of his speech.
I asked some friends to pull together a dinner on the South Side with people I didn't know, to ask what they thought about the city and what they wanted for their future. One dinner turned into two, then three, and then dozens. I started going into people's homes, sitting around kitchen tables and in front of yards, listening to people who don't get invited into the small rooms where Columbus usually makes its big decisions. I broke bread with 1,000 Columbus residents, and those conversations changed me. I heard from parents who cannot believe that Columbus brags we're the next great American success story, when today, on the first day of school, over half of our kids are walking into an undersupported, underperforming school district or a failing charter school. And they understand that City Hall doesn't run the school systems, but they don't care about silly jurisdictional excuses. They just want somebody, anybody, to fight for our babies. I listen to neighbors who feel shut out of the conversation, who get frustrated about the wealthy and the well-connected, how they can make their problems a priority, while regular people's utilities bills have nearly doubled. Folks said our city used to be known for its affordability, but now folks wonder if their child will be able to live in the city that they grew up in. One person said to me, it seems sometimes the city cares more about the people who don't live here yet than the people who always have. Another resident said to me, I love Columbus, but I just don't know if I have a place in this new thing. Can I get grandfathered in? Think about that. These folks aren't asking Columbus to stop growing. They just want to be included in what comes next. They want to know if they still belong, if it will ever be their turn to succeed. They want to know if Columbus' success will be their family's success. And that's why I'm standing here today. The Columbus I grew up in was not perfect, but it was a place where a single mom on the south side of Columbus could get a stable job, buy this house behind me for $66,000 in 1995, could send her kids to public schools, could keep them safe, and could watch them grow up into leaders. And this place, Columbus, it was a place that was dripping in contagious optimism with such a spirit of possibility. Columbus is still a great city because its people is great. And there is nowhere I'd rather be. So on behalf of all of them, standing in the neighborhood that raised me, I'm announcing that I will be a candidate for mayor of the city of Columbus in 2027.
Three-term Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther is running for a fourth four-year term. He put out a statement about Hardin running for the office he's held since 2016. He said, "I welcome Council President Hardin to the race. A healthy democracy is built on people stepping forward to serve and giving voters choices. From making Columbus a national leader in affordable housing, attaining the fastest growing wages in the Midwest, and reducing violent crime to the lowest rate in nearly 2 decades, I'm proud of what I've accomplished and look forward to presenting my positive vision for the work still ahead. Until then, my focus remains where it should be, serving the people of Columbus by tackling the issues families care about most and doing everything I can to help Amy Acton and Sherrod Brown win this November." The statement from Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther. The mayoral election will be in 2027. Now, in the 2026 race for Ohio governor, Democratic candidate Amy Acton unveiled her plan to fight what she calls corruption in state government. Acton rolled out her cost of corruption agenda Wednesday at a Columbus business. It's a collection of 3 executive orders she says she'll sign on day 1 if elected.
One remaining cost that we wanted to talk about is the cost of corruption, which all of us are paying for.
The Democratic candidate for governor's 3-part plan includes creating an anti-corruption task force to take public input, conduct audits, and make recommendations in the first 100 days of her term. She also wants to clean up the appointment process. Acton says the second executive order would prevent situations like the HB6 First Energy scandal, described as the largest bribery scandal in state history.
We believe that you can't be sitting regulating something and then flip over to the industry side and then flip back over into the regulating side.
Acton says the third executive order would expand disclosure and transparency in the contract and regulatory decision-making process.
Because we're going to become very transparent and clear about how we do business in the state of Ohio.
While Acton says she will combat corruption on her first day in office, her opponent, Republican Vivek Ramaswamy, said in May he will target Medicaid fraud, waste, and abuse early on if he wins.
When you have criminals, fraudsters, thieves, claiming money for themselves, it diverts money away from those for whom these programs were intended.
He says catching fraud will put more money in Ohioans' pockets through copay assistance and bringing down health insurance premiums.
And it is now 72 days until the November 3rd general election. The deadline to register to vote is October 5th. Absentee voting by mail and early in-person voting will begin on October 6th. Still ahead on Face the State.
Obviously, this is a historic 100-year storm that hit here.
Ohio Senator Bernie Moreno on the ground in Crooksville, seeing the storm damage and talking to the victims in person. Next, what he's promising to help them recover. Plus, a lot of corn plants are laying on the ground today after the recent powerful winds bent or broke them. It's the latest hit to Ohio farmers already struggling to make a profit. One farmer lays out the challenges he and others were facing even before the storms. The recent storms with strong winds and heavy rain damaged or flooded a lot of homes and businesses across the state. The storms also hit Central Ohio farmers pretty hard by damaging crops. On Tuesday, I went with 10 TV photojournalist Rich Jedlicka to Champaign County, west of Columbus, to see what farmers are dealing with. And this is the problem facing many farmers across Central Ohio. You can see row after row of corn plant laying down. There are others deep underneath this, preventing them from growing properly. And a farmer we talked to said thousands of acres look like this across Central Ohio.
Where we got areas where the corn's laid over, there's corn on top of corn on top of corn. So the corn at the bottom of the pile can't photosynthesize correctly.
And that means it won't mature. Farmer Scott Hare estimates the powerful winds produced by last Tuesday's storms bent or broke corn stalks on roughly 600 acres of the 4,000 acres of corn he raises in several west central Ohio counties.
There will be harvestable yield here, but the problem is getting a combine through this mess is going to be a challenge.
Hare says some farms in the area fared better, but others fared much worse. He says he'll survive the loss, but will still feel the loss.
You know, financially, we're in a stressful situation already. Then add insult from the weather, and that makes it more stressful.
Hare says the rain from the recent storms has helped his corn that's still standing and the soybeans he also farms. However, Jordan Haywisher with the Ohio Farm Bureau says other areas received too much rain over the last 2 weeks.
So results are kind of TBD right now on how bad the damage is, but hopefully, the fields can drain quick enough that we're not seeing that long-term damage.
But Haywisher says it's probably too late for the corn knocked down by wind.
If corn is about knee high or shin high and it gets, blown over, it has some chance to rebound. But this late in the season, that corn's not going to be recoverable.
Hare says farmers don't pray for rain or sun, but for favorable weather.
The weather is just crazy, how it can be your friend or your foe. And this year we've had the ups and downs like I've never seen before.
Now, you heard Scott Hare say he's in a financially stressful situation already, then add insult with the weather, and that makes it more stressful. I talked further with him about that and the overall challenges of farming.
Everybody knows, anybody that raises corn now, that sees their corn down, knows it's going to be bad, but the stress is yet to come when it's trying to harvest it. And you got to remember, your mental health is important. Remember there's other people out there. Reach out for help if you need it. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I know that we'll get through this one way or the other, and always remember that it could always be worse. We've got down corn and we got to try to harvest it, and that's going to be bad. Financially, it's going to be bad, but we could have, there are people with trees in houses, with roofs off barns, and health issues. We could be going through health issues. So remember, keep it in perspective and do the best we can, and we'll get through it.
What you were talking about it not being profitable right now to be a soybean and corn farmer in the Midwest. What are the big challenges that's making it unprofitable?
Inflation. So cost of fertilizer is through the roof. Commodity prices, although they're getting better, are still below break evens. So with commodity prices down, we have a huge supply of corn and soybeans in the country. We're working through that. The price of fuel, labor, land. There's a lot of competition for land with mixed uses, data centers, solar. So the cost of acquiring and renting land is high. But the big thing right now with fertilizer, seed, and chemical inputs are high. Fertilizer is above its fair share of high. So a lot of things going on to put a pinch on the bottom line.
Yeah, how big of an impact are the high gas prices having?
It's a big impact because it goes into a lot of parts of your budget. So, just the price of fuel to harvest the crop or plant the crop has doubled. That's going to that already takes it to a not rosy situation. But then you add the price of fuel in transporting your fertilizer, chemical, seed, taking your crop to market is a big challenge too.
So if it's not profitable, what helps you get by? Is it government subsidies? What's working for you?
Faith, hoping for better times. The government subsidies, help, but they're kind of a double-edged sword. When we need them, we need them. But then a lot of times that goes right through a farmer's hand and into an end supplier. So it's a kind of a catch-22. We would rather make our money from selling the grain than help from the government. But in situations like this, where you have ad hoc disasters or things out of our control, like the price of fuel, the Strait of Hormuz, everything that's going on with fertilizer, it's nice to have that support when we need it, just to keep the American economy rolling, because the rural economy is a big part of the American economy, and a hungry population is a dangerous population, and food security is national security.
Yeah. Have you had an impact from tariffs?
Yes, everybody's had an impact from tariffs. We think that there's a brighter future ahead. We just got to be in business to get there.
So you feel like this is survivable, the damage that you've suffered here in the last few weeks?
It's going to hit everybody different. I mean, in our case, it's 25 to 30% of our acres. 20 to 25 to 30% of our acres got affected. There are some people that a higher percentage of their acres got affected. So survivable for us, but that doesn't mean survivable for everybody. And it depends on how you're insured, whether you have insurance that's going to help cover this or not. And that's a big debate too. Is there is crop insurance, but in our case, it's probably not going to help because we insure as an enterprise. So everything in our county gets insured together.
But you said earlier, you'll get through this.
We'll get through this. Yeah, we'll get through this. But it's going to be a lot of work and it's going to be a challenge.
Unfortunately, many people are facing challenges like that now. Next, the Red Cross is helping them get through the initial hurdles thrown up when the rain came down and the wind whipped through. How the relief organization is carrying out its mission across the Buckeye State right now. Governor Mike DeWine announced late in the week he is asking FEMA and the Small Business Administration to start assessing storm damage in Ohio as soon as possible because of the repetitive and ongoing storm impacts. In a statement, the governor said Ohio has been incessantly hit by storms since August 10th, and without a break in the rain, the damage keeps building. We want our federal partners to proactively work alongside our state teams. The faster we get this done, the faster we can get help to those who need it. Now, if the damage meets certain federal thresholds, the governor says 18 counties would qualify for support. U.S. Senator Bernie Moreno got a first-hand look at some of the storm damage in Perry County. Got a good idea of what the people there have been dealing with and what they will be dealing with, likely for weeks to come. The senator toured the area in and around Crooksville that has been hit so hard by severe weather and heavy, continuous rains. Moreno promised federal assistance to home and business owners. He said it's important to make sure all of the resources of the federal government are available to help the people in Perry and Muskingum counties. 10 TV's Marcia Augustin talked to Senator Moreno about the goal of his visit.
Obviously, this is a historic 100-year storm that hit here. So we have our team here, our caseworkers here, and want to inspect it myself. We got to get to whatever we can do to get a federal declaration, to get federal money flowing to help the people here who are really in need.
I've literally been here for the past 2 weeks. I've spoken to businesses, I've spoken to residents, I've been inside homes, and I've seen the damage that these people are dealing with. They tell me that, Perry County is tough and they're going to get through this. What is your message to them?
We're here for you. We're not going to abandon you. We're not going to let you down. And whatever the federal government can do to make certain that we marshal all the resources to help the people who are in need, we're going to do it. So we will not stop. We will not leave here until everybody's taken care of. We have your back. That's the most important thing. This is what the government is built to do, is to help Americans who are in need.
And then lastly, how will people be able to have access to the funds that may become available?
So we have a variety of federal programs. We're going to make sure we marshal them. We're going to have people here, caseworkers here until this is done, that will be available to talk to one-on-one to make certain that again, we're responsive to every single individual. As you know, as you've seen it, these are very, very individual stories. Somebody may have one circumstance that's very different than somebody else's. So it's important to have somebody here on the ground making certain that we marshal all the resources, cut through the bureaucracy, and make certain the assistance gets where it needs to go.
The American Red Cross is heading up the disaster response in the hardest hit areas. Red Cross staff and volunteers have been running shelters in Perry County and here in Franklin County after a tornado hit South Columbus. The organization even brought in volunteers from outside the region to help carry out its mission. I caught up with Red Cross Regional Communications Manager Don Hawkins to talk about the disaster response and the need for blood this time of year.
Our disaster staff and volunteers have been working around the clock to make sure that we are taking care of everyone that has been impacted by the storms. We've been out in Perry County since early a.m. Tuesday, here in Franklin County since later in the day Tuesday, and that was last Tuesday. So, it's been a long week for a lot of folks. Everyone's been impacted by the storms, have been in the shelters. They've been going through a lot. All of our folks have been working around the clock trying to make sure they're getting all their needs met.
What kind of needs are those that you're meeting?
First and foremost, the need for shelter. Some folks don't have a place to go. And the main objective is to make sure they have a roof over their head and food in their bellies. So that's the first things we're working on. We get them in a shelter, we make sure we got food planned and keep getting them fed and taken care of. And then from there, you see some other needs. Maybe they need a medication refilled. Maybe they need, their glasses repaired. They didn't grab their glasses before they left their house and things got washed away. We helped them get a hold of the optometrist to get their prescription remade. All these little things that you don't really think about until you are down in the middle of a disaster.
And it seems to keep raining, and some of these areas are still being affected. How long do you anticipate disaster response will last in Ohio?
It's always an evolving situation. Before the rain came in over last weekend, our shelter populations were starting to drop. Then that rain came over last weekend and just kind of flooded us out again, and we saw the shelter populations go back up. So if the weather does not get to another extreme level, we could start to see things wind down in the coming week to 2 weeks. But in reality, a lot of these folks that are impacted by the storms are going to be cleaning up and digging out and going through this for weeks, maybe months, and we're going to be part of that process through all that.
How critical are your volunteers in these efforts?
They are the absolutely most critical thing of everything we do. We have a lot of great staff that do things. It's the volunteers that are there at the shelter overnight, taking care of folks, making sure they're safe. It's the volunteers that are running out to grab meals and all these other things that the shelter residents need. Without our volunteers, we are nothing.
This time of year also, you see that need for blood donations. This storm and its aftermath, you haven't really seen too much of an impact in terms of blood needed, correct?
Yeah, we were very fortunate that we only lost a handful of blood drives because of the storm. So it does have an impact, but it wasn't as drastic as it could have been.
Okay. And so this time of year, we just heard that the Red Cross was in a blood crisis in terms of supply. What's the status with that, first of all?
So thankfully, the crisis has ended. Everyone who showed up to donate blood over, multiple weeks of us having to beg folks to come out, we're out of the crisis, but that doesn't mean that the supply is safe forever. It is a living product. It will expire. You have to collect it continually or you find yourself in a shortage situation. So, we're out of the shortage, but we do need people to keep coming in to donate blood to keep us strong and steady with our supply through the end of summer, through Labor Day, through the start of fall. Emergencies happen every day. You never know when someone's going to need that blood.
And summer is usually the busiest time for the need, right?
Yeah, we always see a big drop off in summer when people are busy, they're traveling, all these things compound to keep people from coming out to donate blood. But, school's back in session, parents got a little more free time, hopefully. Come donate blood, come sit in quiet. It's air conditioned, it's relaxing, bring a book, hang out and donate blood.
And if you would like to donate blood, you can make an appointment by going to redcrossblood.org. That's redcrossblood.org there at the bottom of your screen. That website also has information on how to become a volunteer, and there are many different volunteer opportunities with the Red Cross. Thank you for joining me this week for Face the State. I'm Doug Petcash. I'll see you back here next Sunday at 11:30. Have a great day.